the very first, second, and Abigail. This is Ephesians 1:4.
For he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight in love.
In love. This is a beautiful picture that the Lord spoke to my heart. That in the beginning, he looked through time because he was outside of time, and he saw all of us. And he loved us so deeply that a song sprung from his heart, a song of love that echoes through the eons. And this song, out of this song came the first words, "Let there be light." So let there be light was the first words that he spoke in creation. In creation, over the next 6 days, he created all the things. And on the sixth day, after everything was created, he created man and woman. And he created them. And when he was finished, he said, "This is very good." This was the purpose of his song that he sung, that he wanted a relationship. So he built a garden. It says he planted a garden, and he put man and woman in the garden. And in that garden, they worked, but they also had a relationship. They walked with God, and they talked with him about the things that were happening. They were excited about all the discoveries, and Adam was naming the animals and saying, "Wow, that's so cool, he's flying." What was that, a bird? Or a pterodactyl? I don't know. But there were a lot of flying critters. And so they walked with Abba. And this, the Lord was speaking to my heart, this was the first Holy of Holies, because they walked with the Lord. But then the darkness came into the world through sin. Adam and Eve did what they were told not to. They chose, and they said that we want to be like God. And that's kind of what sin is all about, is us choosing to do something different than what the Lord wants for us. He wants the best, but everything that we choose is going to break us, and it's going to hurt us. So we see the brokenness every day in people's lives with alcohol, with drugs, the anger and the bitterness stream from that. So, but that brokenness caused them to be pushed out of God's presence. So they went into the world where there were thistles and briars and pain and sorrow. And what the Lord did is he set an angel at the entrance of the Holy of Holies. So first of all, to protect us so that we would not go in if we were to go into his presence at that point because of sin. Many centuries later, God gave Moses the design for a tabernacle, and in that tabernacle was the second Holy of Holies. And the cool thing is, in that Holy of Holies, before you went in, there was a curtain, and that curtain was 6 to 12 inches thick. That's pretty thick. Nobody could go through that curtain. But as I was studying it, the Lord had them embroider on the outside of that curtain an angel, and that angel was the protection, just like in the garden. There was an angel, so to keep us safe, keep us out of the Holy of Holies, so that we were safe until the final purpose of the Passover was shown. So we'll turn this around. So on the first Passover, the frame of the door was important because we remember that God had them kill a lamb, right? We talked about that a little bit, that the lamb shank the lamb. And so I asked John and Frederick and James and Azariah if you guys would paint some blood on the doorposts and on the lintel.
Here.
Do it right on this edge right there. Yeah. The outside edge. The front.
This?
Yeah. Because that'll be more important in a couple minutes.
Blood. Obedience.
So, this was, the beauty of this was that the Lord, he saw the blood.
Good job.
So the history of Abraham and Israel, Abraham was called to walk in relationship with the Lord. The Lord had showed himself throughout history in men like Enoch and Noah. He spoke with them and they listened to him. But after the flood, Abraham was the man that was chosen, and he was promised that his children would carry the name of the Lord. And that came through Israel, but he also promised that for 400 years that they would be enslaved. And so, after that 400 years, we talked about how Moses was sent, right? We read that. And Moses came and he said, let my people go, right? And what did the Pharaoh say? No. Very good. That's right. And so all the 7 plagues that we dipped our pinky in the blood to remember happened. And the last one was the death of the firstborn. Who's the firstborn? Well, that would be me. Eli.
Firstborn son.
Yeah. All the firstborn sons were going to die when the angel of death came through. And the Lord said that there was a protection for anybody who painted blood on the doorpost, that anybody who did that, the angel would pass over and the firstborn would not die. So the Lord made that promise, and so they took a lamb that they had brought into the house and loved for many days. But the Lord did not see the doorpost. So what he did is when they were putting the blood on there, the Lord remembered. It's going so much easier without the ketchup. So what the Lord saw in his song was the cross that his son, that he said yes to at the beginning, that caused him to sing a song of love, and it echoed in his heart when he saw the blood on the doorpost. It was a protection. It was a shadow. Does everybody know what a shadow is? If you look down, you can see it on the ground a little bit. But the Passover was a shadow of what the Father saw. He saw his Son on the cross. And so today, we remember that the true purpose of the Passover was the love that the Father had. He had sent his only Son to die on the cross. And that as he was hanging there on the cross and his blood was pouring down the wood, that blood was there to sanctify us, which was the first cup. It was there, and at his last breath, or before his last breath, the sky grew really dark. And Jesus took his last breath and he said, "It is finished." And what happened was all of a sudden the earth began to shake. There was an earthquake, and we were all shaken because there was an earthquake. And something very cool happened. It didn't make that hard. There was the curtain. Remember the curtain to the Holy of Holies? The earthquake was shaken, and God came, and he tore the veil from top to bottom. What's this? Another door? This door, what's it say?
Behind
Do you have
us,
it? Behold.
behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anybody hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into and dine with him, and he with me.
Very good. So Jesus, the last obstacle for a relationship, is the door of our heart. And so this door is us saying yes to falling in love with Jesus and asking him into our hearts. And so we recognize that the last obstacle, the last thing in the way of the relationship, is us, because he gave us choice. That was the greatest gift that he gave us when he created us. He created us a relationship, but we had to go through everything to come to this point where we could make a choice to love him. He wanted us to choose to love him. So if we say, "Jesus, yes, I want you to come into my life," he promises that he will come in and it'll be like he'll have dinner with you. He'll spend life with you. Dinner is like the most intimate part of the family, where you sit down and you talk and you eat and you laugh and you cry together. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to spend life with us through the hard times, through the good times. He wants to laugh with us. He wants to talk with us. So this is an invitation for us to say yes to Jesus. So that's the full gospel message. The echo of his song is calling your name. At this very moment, it enters outside of time, comes in and calls and says, "Frederick, Eloise, Ethan," he says, "Azariah," he says, "Delaney," and he says, "Nora," Olivia and Abigail, yep. And he says, "John," and Heather, and Hannah, and Sharon. And he calls each one of us by name because he loves us, he knows us by name. So talk to your mom and dad about what it means to be in a relationship with Jesus, because that's what he always wanted. And that's the story of the gospel message from the beginning to the end.